from your perspective, I mean, we talked about opportunity, but what's the risk? What's
Risk.
maybe there, what's the potential negative impact, or what are maybe also the conversations we have to have as a society around artificial intelligence really accelerating, the innovation is accelerating. So by 2025, right, Kurzweil predicts chips are as fast as the brain, and Google has all the data, and it seems like Google's whole business model is just deep learning, and then they find outlets for that. If it's self-driving cars, it's healthcare, is it search? That's where they want to go, right? So where are potentially the areas the society has to really keep an eye on and have an open discussion about?
Yeah. So the way I look at this is, this is a great question, by the way. I don't think there's a given answer, but at least I'll just share my views on this. I just hope that we don't believe this too literally and stop working on this.
Yeah, of course.
Because ultimately, innovations are, I think, very, very important. They build on each other, right? Yes, it's certainly true that in like another 10 years, we'll probably have chips that can have as a good computing capability as the brain itself. But at that point in time, I would really have a different question. Yes, so we have solved a lot of the routine day-to-day tasks, but what does it mean for the human experience as a whole, right? Are we able to fundamentally understand and cure all diseases? Are we able to fundamentally provide equal opportunities? And I don't just mean economic opportunities, but whatever types of opportunities they need, whether it's for education or whether it's for self-improvement or whatever they choose to. Are we able to take data, take all this computing power, and really make it a more, just a better society for us as a whole planet, not just for the whole planet. Are we consuming less energy in doing that, right? It's one thing where if the cost of doing that building those chips are going to be that we, as a whole, pay a huge cost in terms of the world we live in or the experiences that we go through as humans. What are we willing to pay, right? That to me is going to be super huge. What energy would it take? For example, even though there are lots of these articles, and I don't know if there's been at least I personally don't have a great thought on this, is what power would such a chip require, right? How are we going to drive that power? Would it be providing that same thing at the same power consumption that we have today, or is it going to be I hope it's by that time we have even faster advances in energy research and technologies to make it even more.
Or maybe we use the advances here to make some more advances here. Right?
Correct. So I don't believe advances. You can just look at them in like isolation.
Right.
I think they have to be as a whole, or all these things moving ahead. So the price that you pay for an advancement in one, is it really becoming too exorbitant? I do agree, on the other hand, with one thing. I do believe in the next, say, 5 to 10 years, probably three things are going to happen. One is, I do believe a lot of the data will be on the cloud. And by cloud, I don't mean any private cloud, but really data centers that are connected to the internet, right? I think a lot of the data will be reachable. They can be IP addressable. So you can reach into them, you can drag them, you can join them, you can discover them. All those types of things will be there. There are going to be, and along with the cloud, what's going to happen, I feel, is that you're going to get incredible computing capacity that can now digest this data, right? Especially with intelligent algorithms coming in, you're going to have lots of great insights and patterns and applications you can build leveraging this data. And all of them running on the cloud in a very elastic manner. I think a few years ago, Mark Andreessen mentioned that software is eating the world. Now it almost feels like the cloud is eating software, and the cloud is also eating lots and lots of data.
The cloud is a new operation system, right?
So you're going to digest all these things on the cloud and sort of build a lot of intelligence on top of it, right? Intelligence that we have not been able to do so far.
Right.
The third one where I think is going to happen is we're just going to have tons and tons and tons of applications, right? Our day-to-day user applications becoming very intelligent as a result. As a result, because they are constantly learning from experiences, they're constantly learning from data that they collect, learning about our preferences, our dislikes, learning more about the context, and becoming more and more intelligent in the back end. I doubt if we will. Already I feel that there is lots of these applications becoming intelligent, and I think that pace will accelerate very rapidly in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
So still going back to your original question, what are some of the big risks or costs? Well, do we get there? How do we get there without doing too much collateral damage? And doing that in a way where it's beneficial not just for some companies or organizations, but for the human race as a whole. I mean, why just human race? For all of us on the planet as a whole. I think that's going to be the biggest challenge. And I think that's also a huge responsibility on us as being in the community to make sure we get there.
Maybe one more San Francisco esoteric hippie question, and then another technical question. What's your prediction? When do we have the first neural network that thinks it has a conscious?
Oh, geez. It has a consciousness. I struggle a lot. How do you even define that consciousness? Right?
Supposedly with animals, right? They put on a dot and look in the mirror.
Let me give one thing, right? First of all, I don't know when consciousness begins or what you define as consciousness. But there is something that is worth keeping in our mind, right? So if you look at, say, humans, our evolution over the last tens of thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, in fact, if you look at how much data have we processed, right? Assuming that, okay, we have some chips here that is processing data throughout our human evolutionary history. There are various assumptions you can make around this. Reasonable assumptions. And I feel there are probably about 30 yottabytes of data that we as humans, if you take how much data that our brain processes on a given day, multiplied by an average lifespan for a human. Remember, this is average lifespan over our entire evolutionary history. So it's not just us now, where it's in the high double digits, but the average evolutionary history, it's probably about close to 10 years. And there are probably about 110 billion humans that have lived on the planet. So if you just multiply all these numbers, it's sort of very easy to come up with the ballpark number. It's about, I think, 30 yottabytes, right? So if you look at then how much data are currently is there in the world now? Again, various estimates, but within an order of magnitude, I think it's probably about 10 zettabytes, right? And more importantly, in the last 30 years, we have this volume of data, I think, has gone up by about more than 3 orders of magnitude. Right? Now, if you take from 10 zettabytes to 30 yottabytes, that's really about 3 orders of magnitude. So it almost feels like, and more importantly, the pace at which the data is being collected now and processed is really ramped up. So I would think probably in about less than 10 years, we might be at a stage where we have as much data on the cloud and as much computing capacity on the cloud as what all the human experience has gone through, churned out in our full evolutionary history. Now, will this combination of data, amount of data, and processing on it, will that lead to something called consciousness? I don't know. Right? But I think that's a very interesting point to be. It feels like it's 3 orders of magnitude, but given how fast we are growing, 3 orders of magnitude doesn't seem that big anymore if you just look at our past 30 years of history. So I think, as I mentioned, we're just in this really, really, really exciting phase in data, in algorithms in analytics.